It was warmer in St. Louis this morning than it was in Orlando, Florida. Single digits as far south as South Carolina, and the Gulf Coast actually hit freezing overnight. On top of that, wind chills are on track to nosedive to 40 below in the Northeast by Saturday, and there's something happening up in the stratosphere right now that could make the rest of February even worse. And then there's this, a storm signal building around mid-month that has the potential to be the biggest thing we've seen since the bomb cyclone, and I need to walk you through it. Drop your city and state in the comments. I've got forecasts for over 80 cities coming up, and I want to make sure yours is in there. All right, so here's the deal. This weather pattern just will not quit. I mean, every time you think we're about to catch a break, nope, another wave rolls in right behind it. And look, I know nobody wants to hear this, but winter is nowhere close to being done. Punxsutawney Phil called for 6 more weeks yesterday, and honestly, the models are backing him up. Now, there is a silver lining, and I'll get to that. Somewhere around 10 days from now, we could get a shot at some milder air. But between now and then, it's the freezer. So let me break down what's coming day by day from this Monday, February 3rd, through the middle of the month. Because, I mean, there's honestly a lot going on. But first, real quick, can we just talk about how wild this winter has been? Because the numbers don't even look real at this point. The Northeast and Great Lakes have gotten buried. January just went absolutely nuts with the snow after a pretty quiet fall, and then you had that bomb cyclone to cap it all off. And then we got snow in places that almost never see it. Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, the Carolinas, eastern North Carolina picked up over a foot. I mean, a foot of snow down there. That's unheard of. There's still snow sitting on the ground all the way down into Mississippi and the Delta, and that snowpack is like a refrigerator keeping everything colder than it should be. And check this out. Parts of Florida had freeze warnings this morning. Freeze warnings in a state that issues hurricane warnings. Just let that sink in for a second. So I pulled up the latest GFS run about an hour ago and then cross-checked it with the European model that came in this afternoon. And here's how I see this week playing out. Right now, tonight, there's some higher elevation snow falling in the Cascades in Washington, lower elevation rain out there, nothing wild, but there is moisture moving through. By tomorrow morning, snow starts showing up across Montana and the Great Lakes, Lake Superior down through the UP and lower Michigan, just kind of the usual Great Lakes stuff. If you're in Wisconsin or Michigan, you know the drill. Give yourself a few extra minutes for the commute because roads are going to be slippery in spots. We're not talking about a huge deal, maybe an inch here or there, but you know how it goes. That first inch catches people off guard more than anything. Now, Tuesday evening, this is where I want people to start paying closer attention because there's a piece of energy that's been gaining strength on the models over the past day. Low pressure drops out of the Rockies and rides the southern edge of this cold air mass, and that sets up snow chances from Kentucky through West Virginia, into Virginia, and southern Ohio. Charleston, Lexington, Louisville, Cincinnati, Columbus, all of those cities need to be on alert Tuesday afternoon into Wednesday morning. It's not a monster, but it's more than nothing. And this is the part that's been trending up. The European ensembles that dropped this afternoon are showing higher snowfall totals than what we were looking at yesterday. So this one crept up on us. Cincinnati, the mountains of southwestern Virginia, northern North Carolina, those areas have a legit shot at an inch or more. And I wouldn't be shocked if someone ends up with 2 to 3. Further south, it starts as rain. Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, nothing frozen down there. But here's the sneaky part about this system. As it slides east toward the coast, cold air catches back up to it. And by Wednesday night, you could see snow popping up from around the Triad over towards Raleigh and into southern Virginia. Even Charlotte might get clipped with some snow showers by Thursday morning, and I know people down there are probably like, come on, haven't we had enough? And yeah, I get it, but here we are. Oh, and somebody left a comment yesterday saying, don't forget about us in Michigan. Trust me, I got you. Scattered snow showers are headed your way midweek. Wednesday itself is actually the quietest day all week, kind of a breather. So if you got errands to run or stuff to do outside, Wednesday's your window. Because Thursday and Friday, things take a turn. A much stronger clipper comes barreling down out of Canada, and this one's got some muscle to it. There's a stout low parked over Hudson Bay that's going to shove an Arctic front right through the Great Lakes and Northeast. And it does two things at once. It drops accumulating snow from Michigan through Ohio, Pennsylvania, interior New England, just stacking more on top of what's already on the ground. And more importantly, it opens the door for another blast of Arctic air that, honestly, is going to make this past weekend look mild by comparison. By Friday afternoon, snow showers push into the interior Northeast. And you know what? Even D.C. and Baltimore could see some flakes, which is always kind of a big deal down there. And then right behind that, another clipper shows up, because that's been the theme this winter. Just wave after wave, the train doesn't stop. All right, before I get to your city numbers, let me just take a breath here for a second, because I know that's a lot of information in a short amount of time. Here's the simple version. Snow Tuesday through the Ohio Valley, quiet Wednesday, bigger clipper Thursday, Friday, and then the coldest weekend of the winter so far. Okay, so let's get into city by city. I know a lot of y'all came here for this part, so let's do it. Starting with the spots that actually have weather happening. New York City, high of 30, low of 18. Mostly cloudy, flurries possible, but probably just a trace. And that goes for all the boroughs too. Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, same deal. Boston at 37, low of 26, partly cloudy, and those wind chills are going to make it feel a good 10 to 15 degrees colder than what the thermometer says. Philly at 42, D.C. at 46, Baltimore at 44. The Mid-Atlantic is actually catching a decent day tomorrow, and after what you've been through, you've earned it. Buffalo at 30 with snow showers and 1 to 2 inches likely from lake effect. Newark at 38, Jersey City at 38, Portland, Maine at a rough 28, bundle up. Now in the Midwest, Chicago at 33, low of 24, light snow showers possible. And then it drops to 30 on Tuesday, so it's just kind of sliding the wrong direction. Detroit at 32 with snow showers, Milwaukee at 30, Minneapolis at 28, low of 12, and up in the Twin Cities, those wind chills, I mean, we're talking feels like temps in the single digits. Cleveland at 34, Columbus at 35, Indy at 36, Fort Wayne at 34, all of them sitting right on that edge where Tuesday's system could either clip you or just miss you. Louisville at 44, Lexington at 46, Cincinnati right around 35. These three are the ones I'm watching closest because they're in the bullseye for that Tuesday snow. Kansas City at 42, Omaha at 38, Wichita at 48, OKC at 55, Tulsa at 56. The Plains are getting a nice window of sunshine before the next round shows up. And here's something that just kind of blows my mind. It's going to be 55 degrees in Oklahoma City and 28 in Minneapolis. Those cities are only 800 miles apart. That's a 27-degree difference. That right there tells you everything about this pattern. The warm side and the cold side are sitting right on top of each other, and that boundary is where all the action happens. All right, down south, Atlanta at 57, Charlotte at 52, Raleigh at 54, Nashville at 50, Memphis at 54. The Southeast is catching a breather, and honestly, they need it. If you're still dealing with power outages down there from the nor'easter, this stretch of 50s and sunshine should help with the melt, and I'm pulling for y'all, I really am. Now Florida, what a wild ride. Miami bouncing all the way back to 80 degrees tomorrow after those record lows this weekend. That's a 45-degree swing in like 3 days. Tampa at 72, Orlando at 74, Jacksonville at 68. The Sunshine State is back, and honestly, I'm happy for them because that cold was just brutal down there. Texas is doing great. Houston at 64, Dallas at 59, San Antonio and Austin both at 62, Fort Worth at 58, El Paso at 65, nothing to worry about, just soak it in. And for the West Coast, I'm going to lump you guys together because honestly, it's the same story for everybody out there. Sunny and beautiful across the board. LA at 66, San Diego at 65, Phoenix at 70, Tucson at 72, Vegas at 62. The whole Southwest is just out there vibing while the rest of us freeze. Must be nice, right? San Francisco at 58, San Jose at 62, Sacramento at 62. The Bay Area feels more like late March than early February. I'm kind of jealous, honestly. Seattle at 50 with rain showers, Portland at 52. Those are really the only western spots. seeing any precipitation, and the Cascades are grabbing some mountain snow. And that mountain snow matters more than people realize. So much of the water supply out west comes from that snowpack, and they've been running behind this season. Denver at 45, Colorado Springs at 45, and here's a number that'll make your head spin. Denver could push into the mid-60s by later this week. That's 45 degrees above where they should be. Albuquerque at 55, Anchorage doing its Alaska thing at 25 with snow, and Honolulu checking in at 80, because of course it is. All right, now let me slow down for a second here because this next part is really what I wanted to get to today. And it's honestly the most important stuff in this whole video. The big picture. Why is all of this happening and what's coming next? Because the answer to that second question has me genuinely, or I should say has me really concerned. So picture this. There's a massive dome of high pressure out west sending mild Pacific air across California, Arizona, Nevada. That's why they're all sitting in the 60s and 70s. And then on the flip side, there's a deep trough setting over the eastern half of the country, just funneling Arctic air straight down from Canada like a fire hose. When one side goes up, the other side goes down. That's just how it works. And right now, the East is getting absolutely hammered by that imbalance. But here's what's really driving things at a deeper level, and this is the part that worries me about the rest of the month. The polar vortex, which is this band of winds way up in the stratosphere that normally keeps the cold bottled up near the Arctic, is in the process of breaking apart. When that happens, and it doesn't happen every year, cold air that's normally trapped up north starts spilling down toward the surface. And that takes about 1 to 2 weeks to really hit us. So if you do the math, by mid to late February, we're looking at another round of serious cold working its way into the central and eastern U.S. That's the timeline. Now here's the thing, and this is where it gets interesting. After 7 to 10 days of just getting hammered by Arctic air, you usually see a bounce, right? A brief warm-up. And we are approaching that bounce now. Roughly February 8th through the 15th, the ridge shifts east, milder air works in, and we could actually get a little taste of spring for a few days. I'll be honest, I'm ready for it. I could use a break from staring at blue and purple on the temperature maps every single morning, you know? But don't get too comfortable, and I'm serious about this. Because after that brief warm window, the cold reloads in Alaska and western Canada and comes right back at us. By the week of February 15th through the 22nd, we're looking at another significant cold outbreak. And by late February, 22nd through the 28th, right back in the deep freeze. Same pattern, different week. The east gets hammered and the west stays mild. It's like Groundhog Day, which I guess is appropriate since we just had that yesterday. But that mid-month warm-up, that's actually the piece that has me watching something much bigger. Because when you crash warm air into cold air that hard, things get volatile. The models are picking up on a potentially significant storm developing around that third week of February, and the setup for it is kind of textbook. Energy dives down the Rockies, pressure starts dropping on the lee side, and what forms is what we call a Colorado low, and those can be absolute monsters when conditions are right. The potential track runs from the Central Plains through the Midwest, Ohio Valley, all the way up to New England, and right now a huge chunk of the country is in play. Now, could we see blizzard conditions out on the plains? It's possible. Could we see severe weather further south? That's also on the table. We're talking the full menu here. It is way too early to pin down specifics. I want to be clear about that. We're talking 10 plus days out, and a lot can change between now and then. But the signal has been consistent across multiple model runs over the past few days, and that's what makes it worth talking about now rather than waiting. And for the snow lovers, February 15th through the 22nd is the window where the Plains, Great Lakes, and Northeast could see something significant, so mark your calendars on that. Then late February, the storm track could suppress further south, and the Carolinas might get back into the snow game, because at this point, why not, right? All right, but before we even get to any of that, we need to talk about this weekend, because the cold that's coming is going to be flat out dangerous. No sugarcoating it. That Arctic front punches through Thursday into Friday, and by Saturday morning, upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, we're talking wind chills of 30 to 40 below. Parts of Quebec and Ontario could see 50 below. And if you went through the last Arctic outbreak up there, this is basically round 2 of the same thing. At those temps, frostbite can set in within 10 minutes on exposed skin. That's not a figure of speech. That is a real medical concern, so please take it seriously. This might be the coldest weekend of the entire winter for the Northeast. And with all that snow already on the ground acting like an ice pack, it's just going to amplify everything. Check on your neighbors, especially if they're older or live alone. A 5-minute phone call or a knock on the door, that can literally save somebody's life in weather like this. And please, generators outside and away from any windows or doors. Carbon monoxide has no smell, no color, and it takes lives every single winter. Do not mess around with that. If you've got pets, bring them in. I see it every year, and it drives me nuts. If it's too cold for you to stand outside for 10 minutes, it's too cold for your dog, period. All right, so wrapping up, here are the 3 things I'm watching most closely and what I think you need to keep on your radar over the next few days. Number 1, that Tuesday into Wednesday snow across the Ohio Valley, it's trended up on the models, and I think it could catch some folks off guard, especially along I-64. Number 2, the Friday Clipper and the weekend Arctic blast. Those wind chill numbers are honestly scary, and anyone in the northern tier needs to be prepared for life-threatening cold. And number 3, that mid-February storm signal, because if that Colorado low develops and tracks anywhere near what the models are hinting at right now, we're looking at a major event. And here's the thing that keeps me up at night with this one. If that storm track shifts even 100 miles south of where models currently have it, the I-95 corridor from DC to Boston is right in the crosshairs. That's the piece I'll be watching on tonight's overnight runs, and if anything shifts, I'll have an update out first thing tomorrow. You'll be the first to know. If this was helpful, smash that like button for me. It seriously makes a difference in getting these videos out to more people when severe weather is on the way. And if you want me to go deeper on your specific region tomorrow, tell me in the comments. I read every single one of them, and I'll try to spend extra time on whatever areas y'all need. If you're not subscribed yet, now's the time, because February is shaping up to be wild, and I don't want you missing any of this. All right, stay warm, stay safe, keep an eye on those overnight lows tonight, and I'll see you right back here first thing tomorrow morning. I appreciate every single one of you. Take care of yourselves and each other out there. Y'all have a good evening, and we'll catch up next time.